It's time now to discuss our first matchup of the day. One of these two teams will, in fact, be heading home. The other will continue to fight their way through the loser's bracket. Mad Lions finding themselves down here against Team Envy. Mad Lions definitely coming in as the favorites here after a hard-fought series versus Virtus Pro. So that one was probably the closest series that we've had so far. Were you impressed by Mad Lions' play? Have they been getting better for you guys throughout the tournament, or looking about the same since when we started?
I didn't have very high expectations for them coming into the tournament, actually. I thought, like, is this move going to work again? Bringing in another in-game leader, committing to his system, starting out. Because if you notice, they're trying to play structured Counter-Strike again, and it has worked. It has worked yet again. Like, I have to say, some of this has to be on Peacemaker. The amount of times this guy has now transitioned and totally new IGL in, and then immediately got them not only active, but again on 4 to 5 maps, like seemingly right off the bat. So you consider some of the results they had before Flashpoint as well, and during it, where they were playing the other tournaments, beating the likes of Fnatic a couple of times. Like, this is really impressive stuff. And again, Shush is now coming back into form, a guy who's been somewhat quiet the last few months. Refresh seems to fit the team. I think Acor's had a few issues, but he's still up there. So I think generally you look at them, you couldn't have expected better than this. Like, I actually think they could have won that match yesterday, so they could have been higher up. There's a world where they even could have won the group. Obviously, they've beaten the same team that defeated them, Fnatic. So this is a team that I expect, unless they get a really hard draw, someone like maybe Big drops down and has to play them, unless something like that happens, I think they're going to be in a situation where I could see this team going as high as like number 4 or something. They could really make a strong run.
Yeah, and with that VP game they played the other day, I think they were the better team in that series, actually, if you look across all the maps. Best team doesn't always win. At the end of that train game, they had 2 or 3 rounds where they were in really kind of decisive positions, where even if they didn't have the man advantage, they had a round where they were free stacked to contest Brownell's control. They just lost 2 players to Kicker, just swinging ramp. That is not going to happen a lot. The refresh pushing Ivy, talked about that one a bit on the desk. Yeah. These sort of rounds, people aren't aware at home. If you play those rounds 10 times, Mad Lions wins 8. And there were several of those where they could have closed out the game. So I'm pretty confident they were the better team in that series. And coming into this game now against Envy, I think even though Envy looked good against Big, I think we still have to consider Mad Lions as pretty heavy favorites.
Yeah, and it does seem to me, too, that we've constantly had the problem, both in this iteration of Flashpoint and in Flashpoint 1, where we haven't seen all the members of Mad Lions peaking at the same time. It always seems that they've got 1 or 2 outstanding players, but we've hit on this. Acor has not lived up to his reputation, at least in these playoffs so far.
Yeah, especially because obviously he was going against someone in Jim who's justifiably quite criticised for his role as an AWPer, perhaps too conservative, etc. But I have to say, beyond the first map, Overpass, where Jim was up to his usual shenanigans, he actually took Acor to school on those other 2 maps. Like, he had way more impact than Acor did. Acor was even in scenarios that he normally just doesn't lose in. Like, he was in 2v2s where he's just missing easy close-range shots that you expect him to take those and the difficult shots. So I think, again, this is the point I made in that playoff trailer opener, which is I think the pressure gets to him. And I think when he knows he has to deliver, that's different from being the guy who's like, well, I'm sacrificing, I'm just part of a team. Yeah, you don't get the blame. You don't carry the can then when you fail and you just did your job.
Yeah, I think with Acor, he is a player that has real potential. We talk about potential all the time, but he's a player that we've actually seen on the server, putting up huge numbers, having really aggressive peaks. My problem with Acor is, I feel like, first of all, I don't think he's that confident actually calling around himself on either side. Just from watching Mad Lions play with this lineup and the previous one, it just feels like sometimes he just falls into playing a very passive standard game on both sides of the map, particularly T side. He can be really slow. So hopefully we can see more of Acor in this series.
Yeah, he needs to step up here in the playoffs, and we'll see if he can do just that. The first step is going to be up here against Team Envy, because Mad Lions has a long, lower bracket road to walk if they are going to defend their Flashpoint title. Now, Envy, they did put up a very competitive game up against Big, it has to be said. But with that caveat, I want to say, rate in percentage how much you guys thought that was Envy playing well versus Big underperforming.
Here's the thing, people would expect me to say, it's just Big throwing the game away. I actually think this was one where I'll go further than competitive. I even thought they were going to 2-0 them when I was watching that second map. Like, I thought at certain points in time, like, Big's just fading here. I mean, I've seen them do some, despite the fact they're supposed to be really good in Dust 2, they've had some pretty ropey games at this tournament. So I thought, actually, I would give a solid 60% of that to the Envy side. I'd say, yeah, Big certainly gave them some favours. They had a couple of underperformances, some key players. Tabson had some moments where he was looking a bit ropey. But I actually thought the Envy guys, like Calyx, overperformed at times. Yeah, and they came out with a T side you could not have expected.
Yeah, with Envy in that game, I think it was definitely a combination of Big slightly underperforming. I think Envy actually played a lot better in that series, and something we've seen from them on T side in particular throughout this tournament is that they've realized that playing slow, playing default, does not work. And we're seeing teams like MIBR that are going very far away from that style, and now Envy is starting to pick it up. They're going a bit looser, a bit more contact. Everything Legio's got much more decisive. He just calls, let's just hit this site, force it out instead of trying to play these slow rounds, getting picked apart, and they don't have the team play to play those. So I think they've recognized some problems, they're fixing them. I think in every series, actually, they've looked better and better. So hopefully today, see some even better play from Envy.
So where do you come in percentage? What was Envy's performance being good versus big underperforming?
I'll just go 50-50, I think.
50-50. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty complimentary to Envy. I think a lot of people would come into this match and say, oh, it was definitely Big who was underperforming. But we haven't seen hardly any of Envy. In fact, none outside of Flashpoint so far.
I would say take it back to the beginning of the tournament, though. There's a reason a lot of us picked Envy to beat Forza in the first matchup. Like, actually, a lot of us thought, you look at players, like Calyx is the obvious one. Like, what he's doing now is what he was supposed to do when he first joined the team. Like, he was supposed to be the Xantaras of this team, in the same way as Xantaras has been able to properly blossom when he's gone over to the other squad. So, me, who's obviously a quality player, just hasn't had the teams. He's coming from a place where they don't have top teams right now. The rest of them, I think they have too many supportive elements, but even so, like, Thomas hasn't hit his peak yet. I do think the Nifty angle's a little bit played out, but even so, at least he's played with some of these players before. He can maybe fit in there. So I think actually they played so badly in the first couple of days that like people didn't notice that even though they were losing matches after that, they were already performing at a slightly better level. And then you have seen this switch where the leading style seems to have swapped up, and now Calyx has just completely taken off.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to go into our picks and vetoes now for this map pool so that we can do some more substantive analysis once we know what is coming up for us in this draft. So, we've got some pretty heavy favorites for Envy on Dust 2. We've seen them massively overperform, beat big on that map. Do you think we're going to see it in this
Bad news,
draft?
that's the permaban of Mad Lions. So that's one of the reasons, by the way, why I don't give Envy a chance in this series, because that was the map they needed, and this is the only team that will absolutely not give them it. So
no chance.
This is a default permaban against everyone. They really put the perma in that. So I expect it to happen right now. The big problem is, even though Envy have been trying to vary up their map picks, it's really tough to know where they want to go. Like, for example, they've tried cheeky overpass pick against other people. If you saw what happened to Virtus Pro, I'm not going anywhere near overpass against this team. So I have a hard time, except if they want to do something ridiculous, like think from that train game, that somehow you can read something on Mad Lions and do it. I don't know where you go at this point in time.
Is this ban wrong? Because I think that would be an Envy ban. They perma Vertigo at the moment, so I think that's probably
the graphic
the
is
wrong way
probably
around.
just wrong.
So that's probably
this is an Envy. Yeah, that is
yeah.
an Envy ban. Envy. This is the map that Envy has been banning, and they have not played a single version with this new roster on Vertigo.
Yes, well, I would have expected that coming in, and then for Mad Lions, totally certain it's going to be a Dust 2 ban. They'd never go away from it in this series. The thing about the picks in this one is they're really tricky from the Envy perspective, because they're going to want Overpass and Nuke, and the problem is that Mad Lions love both of these maps. So going into these picks, they've got a really big problem. Do they go for one of those maps and play into the strengths of Mad Lions, or do they go left field, try and take something down the deeper end of the map pool for both of them, and try and, you know, come in as an underdog and take a map where maybe they have a better chance?
If I have to pick, because obviously now it's going to be the Envy pick, I would actually take Nuke out of the two, because my logic is this. I want to even up that AWP disparity as much as I can. I don't want to put Nifty as an AWP on overpass. Like, that's where Acor's going to tear us up. So it took Jim. He couldn't even do anything in that particular game. So I think if you go to Nuke, it's going to somewhat neutralize it a little bit. You're still going to have troubles. You're going to be giving them a map they want. But at this point in time, that was going to happen anyway. So now it's just, where do we have the better chance to win?
Yeah, I am expecting to pick into Nuke here, and hopefully that comes in a second. They're going for the Mirage pick, and that's very out of left field. We've seen them a few times on Mirage. It hasn't looked brilliant.
They're 0-2.
They had a decently close game against Big, but they had a really tragic one against Forza in the opening map of the tournament. So that's definitely a pick where they know they're coming in as an underdog. They don't want to play really Nuke or Overpass, I'm guessing. Taking a map that perhaps Mad Lions haven't practiced for as well, that's really a kind of an unknown factor that people at home probably don't consider that so much, that you might pick a map because you know the other team isn't ready for it, and these sort of aspects. So that pick comes in. I'm expecting definitely an Overpass pick here from Mad Lions. 4-map win streak on that map. Looks really great against Virtus Pro in that series. So there's the pick. And then going into these bans, I'm expecting a train ban from Mad Lions here.
Yeah, I mean, basically, it's still up to Envy if they want to take the Nuke as the third one. Again, though, let's go with the line that they did on Mirage. Maybe they want to go into Infernal. Maybe, again, the idea here is just surprise them as much as possible, make as much of the demo review kind of useless, and then we'll play it out. Because as you pointed out about the in-game leading of Legia, like, a lot of it is clearly just like, I decide on this round what we're going to do. It's not that we come in with a massive game plan that we're going to execute player by player, sequence by sequence. So I think it would be totally logical that at this point for you Mad Lions, you take Train out just there's nothing scary left in the pool. So we could play everything else.
See where the bans go. They're going to go for the train ban, which probably quite expected. You could have made an argument that you just kind of float it and try and get it to a map that you want more so, but decided to take that one out, and I'm expecting actually, it's a tricky one here. I think they'll just put it to Nuke. I think they probably just think they're the better team. Just take the map that you're comfortable on. Indeed, they do it, and the vetoes are in. So we expected Overpass and Nuke in this series, maybe not in this order. The Mirage ban is definitely the standout as the unusual one here.
Also, because I always point out that traditionally you don't want to do the Dust 2 pick if the other team can play it. Nuke is the opposite of that. Like, you don't have to care if the other team plays Nuke. If it's the map you want, especially in a decider scenario, and you are better on, you can force your advantages on that map much better than a map like Dust 2.
That's fair enough. We're going to take a look at some of the tactics more in depth, though. Yumi is going to talk us through what will be the third map in this series, which is a Mad Lions play on Nuke.
So I've decided to take a look at Nuke for Mad Lions because I'm interested to see whether they're going to be allowed to pick it. So far, since they picked up Hooksy and Refresh, they've gotten 9 rounds at a minimum on the T side whenever they've played it. So I've taken a look at a game from IEM Beijing where they face off against Vitality, and they actually had a successful T side through and through. And part of the reason is these 2 smokes that they deploy on their defaults so consistently here for Mad Lions. They actually throw an execute on top of this that applies additional pressure to these outside players. But the fact that they throw those 2 smokes at the start of the rounds, pretty much every single round, just means that they have this unforeseen element that Vitality have to react to. You could see that Apex actually threw a Molotov to prevent this smoke from blooming in the correct position, but it actually results in a Hooksy frag that also creates this opportunity where Hooksy can flank towards Hell and just consistently apply pressure to not only these A-site players, but also Zywoo over at ramp, who has to fall back, and it's just an additional setup. You could see these great positions here from Mad Lions, and just the amount of space that they've created as a result of those smokes at the start of the rounds. And this is just one of the many win conditions that Mad Lions will be able to set themselves up for, and I'm interested to see whether Envy can tackle that tough task of containing them to less than 9 rounds on that T side. But for now, back over to the desk.
It's going to be tricky. Envy is 1-3 on Nuke so far. As you said, Alan, Mihu may not exactly be comfortable in the ramp position while they're on CT.
No, I don't think it suits him particularly as a player. The thing about Nuke is, though, for that team, they have progressively looked better actually throughout the tournament on the map, particularly between the Forza and the MIBR series. I'm guessing they pretty much hard practiced Nuke because it was a totally different team on that map. So in that sense, looks better. I still have some concerns going into Nuke, but hopefully they can have a cleaner game.
All right, let's talk about Calix. We promised people we'd get to this point in time. He's a player who's done very well in this tournament. He's number 8 in the entirety of Flashpoint so far when it comes to his HLTV rating, which is surprising for a team that has only won one of their matches, even though they have taken a bunch of maps in the ones they have lost. So talk me through, what is Calix doing well right now, Thorin, in your eyes?
Well, as I said, in many ways, not only was he obviously once the sidekick of Xantares, but they're kind of trying to make him the Xantares of this team. Like, you notice, he isn't just like set to the hard entries. He sort of looks somewhere in the middle of the pack there, because again, like Xantares, you want him to be comfortable, because when he's comfortable, his aim goes like this. He's just sick. So the thing about the guy is, both him and Xantares, when they were in Space Soldiers, were clearly talented players. They were clearly skilled. But that's one of the reasons I always said that major in-game leader guy was just absolutely overrated as fuck. Like, he wasn't doing anything with these guys. Like, you had these pieces that, no joke, were levels better than the area that you were playing in as a team, and you were only able to survive off them shooting people in the head. You weren't able to use them to make the team winners. So look at every time the aim's super sick, like it's really slick. He transitions between players so easily. I mean, obviously on Dust 2 it's basically being his playground. He does whatever he wants on this map. It's no wonder the T side now looks really good against even world-class teams on this map, like Big. So I think he's a player where they finally start to understand how to unlock him. I've no doubt as well, when a player like this goes to a bigger team with a bigger salary, initially they probably give up too much themselves and think, I'll just do what I'm asked and I'll play this way. But what you've got to recognize if you're someone like Legear in the situation is this man is your only chance to beat some of these squads. And so basically what he's doing now is what he is supposed to do on this team. Because despite what all the fanboys might tell you, a great player on a bad team can still dominate, because essentially he can actually justifiably say to everyone, give me all the resources and I'll do what I can on my end. So he's starting to do that. It's getting really exciting. I'd love the idea. I don't know that they can go much further in the tournament, that maybe later it's between him and Xantares potentially battling out for that MVP.
So I know this makes you mauled, Alan, but I do have to ask, do you think that they have fixed their anti-eco woes coming into today? They've had one day off to review.
Possibly. I think with the anti-ecos, I think there's two ways you can look at it, okay? So on the one hand, you say it's going to be an easy fix. All we have to do is add some anti-eco rounds we can run, add some anti-eco setups on CT. That would be an easy fix. You probably could fix that in a few days. But there is another side to the equation. When you're losing anti-ecos consistently, it's normally a big kind of red flag that there are big problems in the team. Communication, team play, mid-round calling, all of these sort of things, these normally contribute to having anti-eco problems. I'm not sure which side they lie on. I'm guessing actually it's a bit of both. Considering how new of a lineup they are, it might even be the case they haven't really had the chance to talk through playing anti-ecos because they're so fixated on the gun rounds at the moment. You've got to fix that first. So I imagine it's a bit of both, but yeah, I'm not sure they could have fixed it so much in the few days they've had.
If you had to point to one thing in their anti-ecos that you think would be the first thing you would attack if you were coaching them, what would it be?
If on T side, it would definitely just be grouping more.
Okay.
So what I see for them a lot on anti-ecos, they just call the defaults and play it slow, and they get into the mindset of, okay, we're against pistols, let's just play a totally standard round, super slow, play together. The problem is they let themselves get picked apart, they're too spread out. What I would do is, we can afford it on T side and anti-ecos, like sacrifice the side of the map. You don't need to have all the map control, you just play passive. On one side of the map, you group up on the other, you try and force out a bomb site hit. So even though you're risking going into a stack, I'd keep it super simple if I was them. Just get some Mac 10s on the entries, clear out the site. So that's kind of how I'd fix it on the T side.
It did seem like if they had just a couple of those anti-eco wins that they might have been able to squeak out against Big there. That's how close that series was, except for a few mistakes.
That first map was theirs to lose.
Yeah.
When those anti-ecos, it could have just easily gone the other way. So for them, that would be pretty tilting, to be honest. If you're possibly for someone like Cuban watching them from behind them, that would really kind of get him riled up, seeing them losing those sort of rounds, I think.
Well, let's take a look now as we move into the match, and we'll see if those anti-eco woes are fixed. But first, Pinnacle prediction points table. Look at that. Bardolph now on top. 32-38, well ahead of Yumi in second place. Uh-oh, I've dropped down into the red zone, but I'm only 20 points behind Hawka, so I'm okay. You took a big dip yesterday, Alan.
I did. I was in second place, I believe, after the first free series. And then OG let me down, unfortunately, and that's why presumably the Bardolph's jumped up here because he went for MIBR, I'm guessing, in that series. But as you can see on the points here, kind of the mid-pack is so close here, and if any of us gets any of them wrong and the others get it right, we could be in some trouble, Money.
You got a ways to go to dig yourself out of that one. But we do have more days, it has to be noted.
Sure.
We do have more days to make those comebacks right now, or to dig yourself into a deeper hole, depending on which way you're going with half one. But yeah, we will be seeing our predictions now, or last night's odds? Let's pull up last night's odds first.
To be fair, though, like, obviously I didn't pick MIBR to win, you know. I was quite frustrated watching that game, unlike them. See what I did there? See what I did there?
Well, let's see here. Envy up at 3.34 and Mad Lions up at 1.34 here in terms of our odds. So heavy favorites here for Mad Lions. Did anybody take the danger prediction of
No.
Envy?
I mean, the big problem, like I said, unfortunately, this was the one team they basically couldn't play because of the Dust 2 permaban. That kind of, it spoiled the chance of an upset, I think.
It's also, they have a really shared map pool at the top end with Nuke and Overpass, so it was always going to be a really tough veto for them. I do think they have a little bit of a chance if they can win Mirage and put it onto a Nuke third. As I always say in Counter-Strike, win both pistols, win some resets, clean up the anti-ecos, you always stand a chance. So it's not totally impossible, but I'd still frame this as, you know, heavily Mad Lions favoured. And as you can see, I went for Mad Lions with my points.
I will say, just to add on to his point there, that's another thing Calyx has been doing, is he's been one of the best pistol players in the whole tournament. So that at least gives you a little bit of an opening. Maybe you can steal a couple of those, and as we were saying, that can make up for some of the woes you might have on the gun rounds.
Well, let's talk to Bardolph and Hawka about their predictions now.
Hello.
James, you're not going for any big risks this time, just a 500-500 split today?
Yeah, to be honest, I think this game is risky. I think it's one of those matches where I feel like Envy are capable of winning this series, but I can't justify putting my points on Envy at this juncture, right?
So why did you bet on Dig last week?
Look, man, I was having fun. I was having fun on that one. I was having a laugh. Yeah, I am where I'm supposed to be at the very top here in the prediction.
All right.
So let's see how it continues. There's a lot more to play, so it's I'm not going to talk it up too much until we get to like Saturday.
I'm legitimately surprised that nobody picked Envy. I figured somebody would take some level of risk on this one, especially
just those millionaire investors, really. But aside from that, no one else was stupid enough to. So,
It's true. They have had quite a bit of
me twice.
I think if there's a gamble to be made because everyone's picking Mad Lions. Even if you win and you're at the bottom, you're not really going to improve, right?
True.
So that's so you could make a bet with that. So if I was really struggling, then I might consider that, but I would still lean towards Mad Lions, kind of like 65%.
Listen, shall I give you a little bit of a teaser? Here's how I'm going to dig myself out of this hole, right? Is I'm waiting for the underdogs I do think will win. And the underdogs I think are going to win is going to be OG's going to face a top team. People are going to say OG's the underdog. They're going to get the nice odds. I'm going to take them. Mad Lions is going to go forwards. They're going to be an underdog. I'm going to put heavy bids on them. And then when these teams come through, justifying all of my hopes and dreams, then I'll be the ones looking down at the Bardolphs of the world. We'll be right back, regression to the mean. And then we'll see what happens then, shall we?
All right. Well, I'll have to see how your strategy plays out over the next few days then. In the meantime, while we're waiting for Thorin's masterful plot to unfold, we'll actually get into this game and see who is advancing and who is going home today between Mad Lions and Envy.
Monsieur Hawker, what is your view on this series? How, you've bet with Mad Lions along with everyone else, but how secure are you feeling with that?
I feel pretty confident. I was looking at this game last night, and I almost feel like Mad Lions and Envy kind of want to play similar styles sometimes. It's just I think Envy don't have as much experience. I think the only aspect where maybe Envy have a decent chance is if some of their players really show up. Like, Calix could be the best player on the server. That's something that could absolutely happen. I think Mihu is someone who we could see more from in these games. So that's the only real way I could maybe see Envy coming out on top. And with Mirage being the first map of this series, we'll get to see how those individuals are firing early. Thomas is looking happy.
Look, on the Mad Lions side of things, Refresh has been a very important player for his squad, especially on the T side. He's just great at finding entry frags around bomb sites and has just been a very difficult player for other teams to deal with. So I like the matchup. Mihu's going to Envy. Mihu's actually a player who I like to highlight on Mirage, especially for people at home who are... it's more something I would bring up at a major because it's easier. Obviously, we've got the Go TV and things, but I would recommend like CT demos of Mihu, for example, because if you're at home and you play a particular position on Mirage, for example, like let's say you play short as Mihu often has in the past, and you want to understand not only how to like defend your position, but how you need to help your team with connector and so on, and how you create space in mid to slow down a push or try and stop something from the T side. Mihu's a great person to watch in that respect on the CT side, so definitely keep an eye on him. And I would suggest, like, if you're trying to improve your own game, then it'll be worth downloading a demo as long as they get some reasonable rounds on the board to look at how he chooses to approach things, because a lot of it is like with utility to create some space. He's got a nice smoke on short which he bounces off the entrance ladder room and so on, and that's something that you can easily replicate at home and work around. It's something I do if you ever watch me play. And I got that from watching Mihu demos. So this is going to be an interesting map. I love me some Mirage.
I like it.
I like the plays that we got here for this series.
Yeah, I think especially looking at pro demos for Mirage is good because it does give you that good idea of how to kind of hold mid. You really need to work with your teammates holding mid most of the time. So it gives you a good idea how to maybe help someone in connector, help someone in window, especially in matchmaking. You're normally not going to get a bunch of smokes against you all the time. So having some good utility of your own can be good. That man Shush has been one of the real surprise players of this tournament, I think, for a lot of people. He's been the best player for Mad Lions, stats-wise. He's always someone who can be a bit quiet at times, but he's been really solid this tournament. He's done his job really well alongside guys like Refresh. I honestly think A-Core is the one man who's just seemingly a bit missing in their previous series. Remember, that was a 2-1 loss against VP for Mad Lions, a really close third map. It went to overtime. It'll be a real shame for Mad Lions if they went crashing out here. I think they should be able to bounce back, though.
Absolutely. Just waiting for this match to get started. I like a nice open map. And in terms of like the map pool, while we have a little time, if Mirage is to go out, as one of the, if not the oldest map, then I hope we see a similar map in terms of openness take its place. So we have good variation in the map pool. Saw some comments from, I want to say, an Ninjas and Pajamas player about the A-bomb sites on Vertigo, which I commented on myself a week ago about the nature of it and the variants it can invite, the smokes and so on. So some more open maps with more depth and width would be quite nice. And indeed, we will start with the pistol round now. Mad Lions will be on the defensive side. NV the aggressors. Double P250, Raid Bossa! Nifty and Calix, both with Kevlar and the P250s.
They're going to come into the A site with them as well. There are already 4 CTs here, though. The smoke has gone into Connector. That's not really going to deny any players, though. Mad Lions are committed into this A site, but Nifty's got the opening kill. Roy struggling. Oh, God, he can't get anything done. The Glock runs him down. Roy will be very disappointed with that one, but none of his teammates can get any kills either. This is Envy running into a 4-man A stack and not losing a single player.
We can note Thomas's role in that as well. His role with the Glock is to run out, jump around, and take the crosshair away from his teammates. And we can see the results of that. Unable to get that kill on Thomas. Tunnel vision as he's playing Super Mario Brothers, making his way towards Connector. His team swing in and deal with the rest very easily. A cold start from Mad Lions, perhaps on this A-bomb site. They will go for the force buy with the Desert Eagles. Didn't have very much luck with the USPs, though. So we'll see if they can do one better. Some utility with it as well. A mixed bag from Envy. Rifles and Mac 10s. And again, those Mac 10s, these are the information men. We can see Thomas has got one again. The moving accuracy, quite useful. Looking for the info, not too shy about it. Spots A-Core. And again, he is expendable, so he can come in to do what he can. Only 2 of the remaining players have helmets as well, so that Mac 10 is very dangerous. Refresh. One of the ones with a helmet. Oh, we got some deagle shots on the A-bomb sites in the meantime, but position has been taken. Ooh.
Oh, that's a great shot from Hooksy. Maybe gives them a chance at the round. Refresh doesn't quite get the timing right. Lagi is able to move towards jungle. Only 1 shot would be needed from the Mac 10 onto Refresh as well, but it may still be allowed. He's got the flank. Oh, Lagia caught off guard. It's only Nifty. He's got the spray, and he's got the second player. Solid cleanup from Nifty, but how the hell does that come that close? This was something Alan was talking about on the desk. He was saying that sometimes Envy can struggle in some of these sort of second rounds where they're only against the pistols. That's another one that comes very close, and it was looking good to begin with. It was looking like Thomas was selling that fake on the B site. But Mad Lions landed some really good shots to keep that way closer than it should have been.
Well, that may help in the future. Because normally, let's say you go for that 3-0 start, the T side should have a full buy in the hold to keep the pressure up on the CTs, but they lost so many weapons there that that may not be the case. See that default boost for Refresh. Not always checked, in fact.
Oh.
Thomas manages to avoid the Zeus kill. Always nice. Should have spotted Refresh there. Oh, he will eventually. Again, just farming, harvesting organs for the black market is Thomas, and Leggy will come to do the same. Well, there we go. It's a good enough start, at least score-wise, for Envy, the 3-0. Now Mad Lions look towards their first buy.
They'll be getting that AWP out as well, and I don't know if Envy will be doing the same. Envy have money for it, but I'm not sure if they're going to go for that upgrade. Currently a Mac 10 being kept by Thomas, and A-Core is definitely getting an AWP on the CT side. I always point out whenever I see Mad Lions playing, A-Core, in terms of stats, has a really heavy favoring to that CT side. He does a lot better generally on the CT side with that AWP, so I'm excited to see what he can do on a map like Mirage. It's 3 Mac 10s carried into this round from Envy as well. This could be a fast round for them.
Scope heard. Thomas falling back though, maybe expecting rifle support for the AWP, some kind of setup. Smoke is up and that will allow the Mac 10 to get close. Still hear the rotation of A-Core jumping out of the window as well. Still don't know what's behind it, however. It seems there'll be some grenades towards the van. Hooksy looks to re-smoke. We've got Mihu top mid in the meantime. There we go. Thomas again looking to take the crosshair away. Does even better this time. I know A-Core's in trouble. Mirage is a map where I expect the most from A-Core with the AWP. And there we go, there's the first AWP kill. Mihu's lurk will pay off. Now mid's been taken. What does A-Core choose to do here? His teammates are a bit further away. Shush is still on the A-bomb site looking for Mihu now, who's rotated into apps.
Bomb still yet to be planted. That finally goes down. Acor sitting in that smoke can get into the open. Great reactions from Acor to land that shot onto Legia. And now there are only 2 Envy players remaining. Nifty stuck at the back of the site, but Acor can't find the trade. Nifty has now been dealt with, though. It's all on Mihu, the man who was lurking towards mid. Good headshot from Mihu, and it's a one-on-one. Acor missing a couple of chances. He goes wide and misses again. Mihu gets a triple kill to win the round. Acor will be kicking himself, though. He got a couple of chances at the end there, but couldn't make the most of it.
An extremely awkward retake for Mad Lions on the B bomb site and ultimately unsuccessful. 4-0 for Envy. They get an AWP for free. And they're back into anti-eco territory as Mad Lions go for the half buy. And again, Thomas's role for most of this half so far has been to absorb bullets, basically. He's Operation Human Shield. Managed to survive the entry in B apartments in that previous round. So we'll see what pace Envy choose to take and if they will spread out too far, as we saw some discussions about on anti-ecos and anti-force buys on the desk. There's a 4-man stack of the A bomb site here from Mad Lions. Deagles and 5-7s. I like to see the odd defuse kit in a round such as this, especially with max loss bonus coming around the corner. I think it can take people by surprise, but it is a gamble purchase.
I think the nice thing for Envy is that their money might not be that great if they had to buy an AWP at some point, but getting to save that AWP instead and not having to invest into it is a really big money saver for them. It means they have the chance now to build up some decent cash, and they should have a pretty good chance in this round to deal with Hooksy, the only man towards the B side of the map. Legia lurking towards A. Again, this spreading out in these sorts of rounds is really dangerous. That's an AK lost. It's given over into the hands of Roy. Hooksy still playing up close. Here's the steps. Headshot found for Hooksy. Oh, he gets 3. Envy falling to pieces in the apartments. And Mihu will have to do it all. He's won a clutch already, but this time it's a 1-on-4. Turned into a 1v3, but he doesn't even have the bomb. I don't think he can win this.
No, the question is, at this point, do you just save the AK for the next round, presumably a force buy, or try to take some rifles away, because they know Mad Lions have picked up an AWP at the very least. I don't think there's any more that he can do at this juncture. Of course, the time is a factor as well, but with 18 HP mainly, I think he'd be throwing away what he has at the moment. A complete disaster of a round from Envy. I think there was a team flash amongst those 3 players in the apartments. Great angle with the Deagle, though. All you got to do is click mouse 1, ran straight into the crosshairs. The branding irons in the apartments. Mad Lions are on the board in the most unlikely fashion. Not that it matters, though. What's interesting, however, is that if Envy lose this round, they'll be on eco. So the comeback could be real.
And it looks like Legia only has a P250 for this round. So they are the ones who are slightly worse for wear in terms of the buys. It looks like after that last round, Envy are trying to group up at the start of this one, which I think is probably a good call. The problem is, again, there are 3 CTs on this A site. They've been stacking this pretty heavily so far in this game, and as the smokes are about to arrive on the A site, Mad Lions look very well prepared for it. Shush getting 2 kills in Palace. That's such a strong start to the hold.
Yeah, what do you do now? We have 5 smokes on the A bomb site, and it's a full rotation from Envy. Mad Lions pushing. They left a bomb behind. Mad Lions pushing while they were holding grenades in the apartments, I presume. But I'm sure one had their gun out. Maybe they didn't. Either way, let's not forget, this is eco territory for Envy. A complete change in fortune. Ooh, the crouch peek from Nifty. That was really slow from Acor. Looked like a very simple flick from him, but who knows? Maybe he was looking at the radar or something. Well, perhaps it's an opening for Envy. 2 players remain. Legia trying to play off distractions in mid, but Refresh is ready with the second AWP. That leaves Mihu now to do as much as possible in terms of damage at the very least. Oh, he's pressed Q, but somehow still gets the headshot. Got half health as well. 38 seconds for Mihu in this 1 versus 3. A long flank coming in from Hooksy. He knows that AWP is in CT. Nice pre-fire from him. Takes a little more damage from the HE as Refresh rotates. There's a chance for a 1v1, but he doesn't know where Roy is just yet. Now he does. Close, but not quite. Second round on the board for Mad Lions.
They get to save both of those AWPs as well, which is nice. Uncalled, though, yeah, again, missing a couple of shots here at the start of this game. That is a slightly concerning sign for Mad Lions. The upside is some of the other players are stepping up. Wow, Shush just winning those fights really well over in Palace. And that means that they can't push A at that point. Envy could not commit to the A site there. When Shush is in Palace, that is such a strong position to have alongside all of those angles on the site. Envy have no real choice other than to just give up on that A play, try and see if they can make something work elsewhere. But they'd use so many nades into the A site at that point, it was always going to be difficult to find a different avenue of approach. So really big impact with those 2 kills from Shush. That effectively secured them the round. And I do like that Acor is still getting aggressive. Even though he's missed some shots, he's still looking to make things happen.
Don't want to get too risky, though. There is a map that Maniac spoke to me about when I commentated with him recently. An old map, I don't remember which CSGO game it was, but basically the Ts would be launched across the map from left to right from a cannon. I think it's called skeet shooting or something. And the CTs would have to try and shoot them out of the air. And that's what it felt like, that peak top mid with the AWP. If anyone's really interested, then I'll put the link up. It's in my... I'm subscribed to it on the workshop, but it looks like a ridiculous map. If anyone remembers it, give me a shout.
Yeah, I've never played it personally.
Oh, you're too young.
Yeah, I figured.
Are you even old enough for a bus pass yet? You don't look it.
I don't know what even is a bus pass. Is that for old age pensioners?
I don't know.
I was about to say, Mad Lions actually missed saving that second AWP there. So Acor's had to reinvest $7,000. That's like all his money gone. So that kind of sucks. The aggression is much better though. Hooksy with a double spray down. This is Mad Lions really showing that the aggression might be what wins them this game. That's a couple of rounds now where they get aggressive early and Envy aren't ready for it.
A CT split of B apartments. Ninjas in Pajamas used to do this, the old lineup led by Threat, but every time they did that play, it was the wrong round. And the Ts were always somewhere else, and it just never worked for them, which was really unfortunate. But it's nice to see it actually work. And again, another round where Envy quickly find themselves in a 3 versus 5. So this is where the question of depth comes into things. How do you, when things have gone horribly wrong, how are you able to turn things around? Not the first time that Envy have been asked this in this half already. Oh, that's one grenade for me to learn. Oh, it's the deeper one, in fact. So Roy will be allowing Nifty to walk to his doom. Bomb spotted as well. Now they got half the information. Calix is in Palace, but where is Mihu?
Oh, well, Shush has spotted him, but it cost him his life. That's a great shot from Acor, though. Only really the arm showing. He takes his time, and now Acor is warming up to the server with that AWP. A couple of shots to close out the round. I'm interested to see how Envy adapt to this aggression, though. What is the response for them? Do they start grouping up more at the starts of these rounds? Because the risk of that would be maybe Mad Lions would push the other side of the map and then maybe they would just lose map control. But at the same time, if you group up and you have plenty of players waiting for the aggression, that would obviously be a really nice way to counter it. So I think for Envy, the fact that Mad Lions are getting away with so much aggression right now is not an easy problem to solve, but it's one that has to be fixed soon, because Mad Lions have won the last 4 in a row.
In the warm-up, Acor was practicing this jump backwards.
Jeez.
Just so you know. Got some pistoleros in the B apartments with a few grenades as well. It seems they'll look to line them up.
Yeah, only one smoke, sadly.
Did he spot Hooksy jump peeking? Well, there we go. Smoke up to take the angle away. Acor can just hold by the balcony now. I like the position Karrigan likes to take behind the bench area, just exposing a slight corner to the balcony position. Mad Lions look ready now. Again, it was clearly a cold start from them, especially with the way that pistol round went. But things have improved dramatically now. 5 rounds in a row. All of a sudden off to a roaring start. After a false one.
Yeah, this is where we've got to see some adaptation from Envy. How are they going to handle this aggression Mad Lions have been showing them? Mad Lions have showed them a couple of different looks. Sometimes it's been solo aggression, sometimes it's been team-focused. There was that B apartments push you were talking about earlier, which was really well done between them. And it looks like Envy are happy to go back into a fairly default setup. It is certainly more B-centric, though. An early smoke goes down to obscure Acor's vision. And it looks like this time the Danes won't be trying to take away any of the map early. They won't be trying to force any action. They will be playing back on their own side of the map. So finally, Envy will actually get a chance to set up some of their plays. A couple of fake smokes into the B site there, and Mad Lions momentarily rotated 3 players over to B, but they've realized that there's no commitment yet, so Mad Lions will stick in this setup. I say that, Mad Lions have actually committed 3 players to the B site now. This is very worrying for them on the Envy side. If they commit to this, they could be in a lot of trouble.
Envy making some steps as they make their way towards short. It's time to split now. They've cleared the ladder room. Leggy is in connector as well. And here we go. So indeed it will be 3 players here. But Nifty comes at the right time from that short position. A-Core's in a lot of trouble now. They're lining up for him. No, almost a collateral, but not quite. They will all get deleted on this B bomb site. Leggy's rotation will be heard as Refresh is the last man standing, but surely doesn't go for it. Oh, it catches Leggy just in time as the bomb's planted. And I think it's on now. 1 versus 2 of the AWP. Kit in tow. Wasn't expecting Mew to take such an aggressive angle. His parkour was a little faster than Refresh's, and the score is tied. Envy, it's been a drought of late, but they've tied the score. Made it very expensive for Mad Lions, but I think another full buy is coming.
And even in this round, the Mad Lions lose, they still stack the right side. They still have so many players in position. Gotta give some props to Nifty for getting those early kills. That certainly makes that push a hell of a lot easier. I think a lot of credit has to go into some of the preparation here for Mad Lions, though. They always seem to look like they have a good idea as to what Envy are doing. In this round, Mad Lions are going to take away mid control, and there is no one from Envy here. So this is a great amount of info to work with. They can now fall back and have that one player stick towards mid, maybe, just to make sure they have eyes on that position. They will, in fact, be falling all the way back to the A site.
Yeah, I don't get the impression that Calyx got some sound cues as he was making his way through T-spawn, but they will assume the worst anyway. Just gets caught out, and that gives Envy a lot of map control in mid, as we can see. They are spreading the Zerg creep all over CT spawn, and knife out. A-Core's got absolutely no idea. That's not looking good for Mad Lions, as well as some of these CT rounds have gone. Leggy out, playing the off angle. One more to deal with, however. Trying to create some space for himself. Which way will he go, though? Flank towards B, perhaps. Or maybe he'll dance around this smoke a little more. But as the man who's closer to it, could get himself into trouble. However, Refresh is closer as well. Leggy now gives the footsteps away. Refresh has the information. He can call that marking is compromised, and there is the flank. That's free info, but it might not really be to Mad Lions' benefit too much, as there's still a man down. They still lost the bomb site. Refresh doing what he can. Got a 1v1 on Calyx, and the bomb planter as well. I told you the man was dangerous. Bomb is planted, though. Nifty's got the 1 versus 2. I don't think they know where he is just yet, and it may be painful for them to find out.
Oh no, missed shot from Nifty. He heard so many steps up close. Now he's got an even harder time in this clutch. Smoke for the bomb. Roy comes from the other side. Nifty just not finding the angle he wanted on that second attempt. I think it was all down to that first shot, though. If he gets that first kill, it's so much easier to play the 1v1. But still got to give props to Refresh. He gets a quad kill this time. I think we've had a bunch of the different Mad Lions players step up in these rounds as well. We had that round where Shush got those couple of kills. This time it's Refresh with a quad kill. A-Core's have multi-kills. Roy is near the top of the board as well. Even Hooksy had that round. I think they've all had rounds where they've stepped up individually. That is exactly what I want to see from the Mad Lions. Oh dear. That's not what I want to see, though.
Yeah, I think that was meant to go into the window for a fast smoke of the window, which won't come. No harm done, because no one's in mid. Not sure that they can identify that, though. Deep grenades in the apartments. Envy have taken quick map control, heading towards the underpass. Nifty with the AWP top mid, just in case there's more aggression from Mad Lions. You can see Roy just jump spotting now. Flashbang for the T's to start to move out. There'll be some sound cues for Mad Lions with that incendiary downstairs. And Envy will make their way into connector, more or less uncontested. So Mad Lions have been giving up a lot of real estate in this mid position, and Roy could be in trouble here because, oh, he's just assuming that connector is clear. But they haven't had eyes on it from short or from A, and now they're on a 4 versus 5.
Lagia puts down a lurk smoke as well to get out into the jungle, and Hooksy might get cut off here. He's heard some steps, it seems. Lagia, oh, he wins that fight in the murder hole. That is very rare. That is a fight you almost never win. But Lagia's got 2 entries for his team in this round, and now as long as Envy can make sure they don't run into a stack, they should have this round in the bag.
Nifty's turn to lurk, it seems. with the AWP. Starting to move around now as the B-bomb site's going to get split once again. Some support grenades on the way. Speaking of support grenades, A.K.O. will get one with the HE at the very least. 2 versus 4 now, make it 1 as Shush is alone. I'm not sure what's happening with Mad Lions now. We had a nice spurt of rounds where they looked strong, and suddenly they're just, I don't know, like is that a communication error? They don't really have eyes on connector, assume it's clear for reasons I don't understand, and lose a player for absolutely free. Leggy is taking liberties at the moment. He's conceding his position and still shooting people in the face, even with a horrible angle. So, I don't know, it's like they had some coffee and started crashing again.
Yeah, hopefully they've got some more caffeine somewhere, because otherwise this could be a rough half for them. I think in that round, seeing Legia win that second fight is obviously unexpected, to say the least. I think for Mad Lions, though, if they figure out how Envy have been taking mid control in most of these rounds, there definitely could be some counters to it, because it never feels like Envy are throwing those smokes at the start of the round and really going for that full-on mid take. They're almost always having the players push through underpass. So I think if you figure that out, you could maybe set up a crossfire there. But yeah, these fights are a little too easy for Legia. I want to see the second one. Ooh, flicks up to the head. Very rare that you see a player win the fight while crouched in there.
He should never lose that duel. He should never lose that duel.
That spot is literally called the murder hole, James. It's called the murder hole for a reason, damn it. He should have been dead.
Score is tied once again. Some weaknesses now in the buy of Mad Lions. Looking at Hooksy and A.K.O. mainly. Now Envy starting to creep out. Maybe smelling some weakness. The multi-peak. Very fast split of the A-bomb site, at least from Palace and Ramp. Normally the split would include connector. Not necessary now. Not in this round anyway. And Mad Lions have been outmaneuvered once again, and it is time to retreat.
Bit of a shame for A.K.O. in this round. He had the MP9 back at jungle, so there was never a world in which he was winning that fight. He was just trying to smoke Palace to maybe reposition onto the bomb site. But Envy go for a fast A play. I don't mind the stack from Mad Lions towards mid. I definitely think that could have worked with how Envy have been playing so far. There would have been a chance for some early kills and then maybe some guns to be recovered. But they don't choose the right round to do it. And that means that Envy will be able to get back into the lead. And this is even without Calix playing well right now. The Des was pointing out, Calix has been the 8th best rated player in this tournament, I think. He's been Envy's best player by a decent distance. They haven't even needed him at the start of this game.
Yeah, Mad Lions struggling to control the pace. Seems to be entirely in the hands of Envy at the moment. As we can see with the yellow text at the top. This is a loser's bracket match. The loser goes, well, doesn't go home. Everyone is home anyway, or at a boot camp, but loser is eliminated. And there's a lot of money on the line. This is a big focus for many teams. This is not a tournament to lose or be eliminated from. That much is certain.
I mean, for Envy, it's their only tournament that they're playing. They had 6 months off. This is the one tournament they're playing. This is everything for them.
Plenty of footsteps to be heard by Envy. And the bomb carrier will be here for the double peak. And Calix moves into position as well. So, Mad Lions have conceded their info, unbeknownst to them, and Envy will punish them for it. And that's the go command, it seems, for the B-bomb site.
Well, Refresh is here. Molly goes down to give his teammates time to rotate. It will be Hooksy who would be arriving towards the B-bomb site, but Envy decide they don't have to commit. And you can already see Refresh is playing this very defensively on this B site. He's put down a smoke towards the end of the apartments. That's going to mean Mad Lions don't have the information that it's not a B-sided play, and that is very costly right now for the Danes. They are almost fully rotating over towards this B side of the map. A.K.O. is starting to move over as well. The upside is Envy are actually going back towards B here, so this might end up being the right read. I feel like Mad Lions have stacked the right site in a really high majority of these rounds so far. They might do it again.
35 seconds. Nifty's been mid this entire round. With Roy on the ramp, there's little reason for Mad Lions to rotate, and he may hear Nifty's scoping as well. Oh god, maybe another sloppy position. Just completely exposed to the balcony there. Desperate times though. Hooksy in that boost position with a 5-7. Refresh with 2 thus far, and this has fallen to pieces for Envy. Nifty left staring at the walls in mid. They were making their way into the B bomb site, and that one molly stopped them from using their timing, which they could have smoked, but chose to slow things down, maybe expecting Mad Lions to spread out across both bomb sites. They kind of expected the ramp push, which allowed them to stack B.
Refresh controlling these fights well behind the bench position. He had his teammate on the site getting him information as well. A couple of flash assists in there, and Cuban is not a happy man right now. Especially when you're the coach and you're watching that, you're just thinking, oh man, that's a round we probably shouldn't be losing. But you run into the stack, it's going to happen sometimes.
With the opportunity they had at the start with the boost at bench as well, I feel like that was an opportunity to have more success than that. So that's got to be a frustrating round for them. But we are moving into the last round of the first half now with the score tied 7-7.
I like how Peacemaker's matching with that chair behind him. With the colours.
That is a literal match as well, isn't it?
It looks like
very
it.
close too. Maybe if that chair was brought into the light, it would be an exact match. Maybe it inspired him.
Maybe.
What came first, though, the sweater or the chair? That's the question.
Oh, God, who knows? I'm very impressed with... I assume it's Peacemaker who's doing a lot of the prep work. I'm just really impressed with how often Mad Lions seem to be able to stack the right site. I don't know what reads they're getting. I don't know how they're getting them, but they're doing a pretty good job at that so far. CT smoke going into top mid, but it's going to be too late. Envy beat that smoke and rush into position.
Flashes into A as well to stop any AWP angles, or will they? A-Court here later on to take out Nifty. Roy holding down the ramp, bomb streaming into the A bomb site. I say streaming in, it's just a bomb carrier now, just about wins that duel, does Thomas. Now what do? We've got Refresh lurking on short, which is currently smoked off. Legia's come into connector to join Thomas, who's only got 24 HP. And if Roy crouches here, it becomes a very awkward angle to clear for Envy, exposed to the rest of the bomb site. Legia swinging through now, wants to have a look, pulls the grenade out at the wrong time. Two-man spray down for Roy, and Mad Lions are in the lead. 8-7 at half-time, all to play for moving into the second, and that comes after the break.
Tonight on Flashpoint.
The New York Times says it's so unbelievable, it's now believable. Come on down to the Blind Spot and get 15% off new and used cars. Warning, blind spot may cause side effects including drowsiness, headaches, nausea, rashy skin, anal leakage, and an overwhelming sense of joy.
It's Mad Lions with the slight lead right now, but Envy will be looking to come back on their map pick here in the second half. We're into the second half pistol, and there are no nades for Mad Lions. It is 5 Glocks on the T side versus just the 1 kit over on Envy. Almost everyone buying Kevlar here.
That is very interesting. Now let's see how this one plays out. I think the guy in Palace should have a P250. I think the guy going top mid should have a P250. 5 Kevlar is very curious indeed. This is borderline offensive to me.
Especially because even if you just get the bomb plant, you can always force in the second round and have a really good buy. So getting nades to get the bomb down is really valuable, but they don't see it that way. And they're still going to move into the A site where it looks like the bomb could be planted, but they're actually flanking. Oh, Nifty can't get the kill. Hooksy gets one. Flank coming in. It is a confusing start to the round, but the bomb will be planted on it.
Well, there's some strong positions in jungle from Roy. That's really going to make things hard for Envy. On a good day, you've got to come in late if you're a CT retaking in this position. Like, you've really got to come in late. But in a pistol round, I just don't see it happening. The rotation is heard, at least 2 of the 3 players. The bomb is ticking. Legia has got a smoke and a kit, but doesn't really have the health to take many of these bullets. They're starting to emerge now, our Mad Lions, as that bomb is up. The smoke's completely missed as well. And there we go, Mad Lions will be successful. 4 of them surviving with full health, which means they all get the cheap helmets, and I'm sure the AK-47s will be coming out. That's really bizarre. Only one of them took damage.
This is such a weird fight from Roy as well, running behind Nifty, who was trying to shoot Hooksy from behind. Very confusing all round. I think for Mad Lions, just being able to brute force their way onto the A site, they were really happy with that.
That's a really weird pistol round.
It really is.
Only one of the T's took damage. They all had Kevlar and Glocks. Now they got 4 AKs for their troubles. Oh dear.
Well, that's not good. Calyx has been traded. A couple of important kills for Shush to get his team onto the site. The rotate is being cut off. Refresh just about getting the spray to the body. And Mihu will also be falling. Shush with a 3K, Refresh with 2. And Envy's force buy is quickly taken away from them.
2 of the AKs survive, but indeed, that consecutive round is won. Both teams winning their T pistol and not succumbing to the force buy, although it was expensive for both teams as well. Now the MAC-10 is out for Hooksy. So I'm sure he'll be the investigation man. The man sent into a site to see if it's clear or not. And with those roles, you've got to consider if you want to buy full grenades or not. And especially on Mirage. Let's say you're on the CT side and you're going to make a play through the window going through the underpass. You have to ask yourself, am I going to buy full grenades? Because it's probably going to be a waste of money. I think there's a heightened chance that you're going to die making a play like that. So maybe buy a smoke at best, but full grenades, especially on the CT side where they're more expensive, probably not worth it.
Credit to Hooksy, he has actually used his nades in this round, almost all of them. So he has been able to use up that utility before being that point man. The AKs are moving into B. The MAC-10 is not with them right now. A little bit strange not to see the MAC-10 leading the charge for the team. And Hooksy has now realized A is clear. They're trying to back off here on the Mad Lions side. They realize they're running into a stack. They're taking a lot of damage in the process, but I think the fact that Hooksy has fully cleared out that A site should make all the difference. Thomas should be hearing steps. He's not going to get the kill, though. Hooksy wins the fight. Mad Lions survive with all 5 alive.
Bit risky, bit fun, no harm done. 4-round lead for Mad Lions as both teams will now have their buys. We'll see if Hooksy chooses to upgrade. Nifty has an AWP out on the CT side. We saw some nice frags from Roy. We'll see if he can do the same. And what problems he will have. How he chooses to rotate his AWP. He'll be starting in the window with an incendiary. No smoke comes from the T side, however, which means he's got to wait to have a peek. Might need flashbang support from the A side of things. There's a flash. There's the little peek towards that short smoke. Nothing too crazy. Mad Lions starting slow, however, showing some presence towards B, but you can see top mid. They're looking for a push.
I am loving how even this frag distribution is for Mad Lions as well. Bottom fraggers are Hooksy and Shush joint on 12. Refreshes at the top with 15. So there's no weak point right now on this Mad Lions squad. And Hooksy might be the man leading the charge in this round again with that Mach 10 you were talking about. Smoke and Molly into connector. That will be to clear out that position almost entirely. So Mad Lions will now know they can get into connector safely. And they still have a few nades left to work with. Sometimes you see teams flashing through this smoke for a fast A play. We might see that come through here. They are all lining this one up. Shush is lurking from the Palace, but here comes the play. Calix gets that first kill. Shush not getting the kill back from the Palace position, but the bomb is still taking its time to get towards this site. And Roy gets caught off guard.
Yeah, he had such a strong position, but maybe in the 3 versus 4, felt like he had to really push the envelope here. Now, will they check for Calix? I don't think they will. Are they trying to stop the bomb plant? Shush is good enough for it, very aware, and just about surviving. 7 HP for him, 2 versus 2. Doesn't have much in the name of support flashbang. Has an incendiary though. Acor taking licks from Legia, and Shush won't stand for much longer. Envy make it to 8. AWP to be collected, I'm sure. And an AK-47 as well.
I'm not sure where all of Mad Lion's smokes went in that round. Because I thought they would have had maybe at least 1 or 2 smokes when they were moving on to the A site. Because they didn't really use too many smokes at mid to begin with. They did use that smoke towards the back of connector. I think they may have smoked window later in the round. But I was still hoping they'd have at least 1 or 2 smokes while moving on to A here. It would have been really nice to be able to just smoke CT and get that bomb down quickly. Because instead, they just remain exposed from a bunch of angles. And Envy are able to slow it down long enough to win that one.
Full buy for both squads now. No more Mach 10s. The money was kept together with the team for Mad Lions. Otherwise, Hooksy would have been short if he bought the rifle in the round prior. So it just gets nastier now. Sniper for Acor as well. Looking for the flick in the window. Not quite getting there. Lucky to escape that situation, Envy. We've got 3 smokes in mid at present. And lots of activity from Envy as they will be moving up towards short. Mihu, of course. He's throwing his normal Mihu lurk smoke, but it's all good timing because here comes a charge into the B bomb site itself, which leaves him stuck at the pillar. Legia able to hold things down and get a multi-kill with the rifle and the Molotov. This smoke is often dropped by the CT side, which helps their team rotate through the door just like that from Thomas. And things go from bad to worse for Mad Lions now. Hooksy and Acor trying to find some targets. There's one on Thomas. Legia still creeping by the bench. Nifty in the market with the AWP, and they've lost the bomb site again, Envy.
Nifty still has eyes towards that bomb, though. This angle might be wide enough to spot that out. I'm not sure if the bomb is behind the thing or not. Oh, it's out in the open, so now Nifty goes for the fight. Having heard that AWP shot, he knows he's safe to do so. And Hooksy is also going to struggle to deal with that angle. Nifty with a nice 2K. But yeah, Legia buying so much time there on the B site. Even though he eventually falls, just staying alive and getting 2 kills is exactly what you want to do as that B site anchor. As you pointed out, he drops that smoke, he stays alive behind it. Thomas arrives for the rotate. Nifty's allowed to get into position as well. That is exactly what Legia wanted to do in that round. And Thomas there dropping the bomb, definitely helping Nifty set up for that round win.
Yeah, that angle from Nifty is really strong as well. Assuming he posts up there with his teammates still in control of the bench area, the AWP allows the information known that there's no one to the left side towards bench and so on, which really helps with the retake. Not a bad shot to hit either. Speaking of which, we have Calix getting 1D'd by Shush.
He dinked Thomas as well through the box.
Yeah, and that gives some opportunity for Mad Lions to potentially plant the bomb, because Envy are going to have to be real careful. They're at a man disadvantage, and Thomas is very vulnerable now. You can see he's picked up the AWP for this reason. He can't take a duel, but he can post up with the AWP. If he crouches, he won't be seen by Palace. You can see Nifty moving around with the rifle now. They want to use this utility, but Legia has been popped on the B-bomb site. There'll be entertainment there. Nice flick from Thomas. He's got his knife out there. What is he doing?
Oh, well, Nifty's here, and he's going to clean up. Important couple of kills from Nifty. He does get traded, but Thomas has eventually decided it's time to use the AWP. I really don't know what happened there. Maybe a mouse bug or something. I don't really know, but Thomas won't be too fussed. He eventually gets the kill he needed. Good work from Nifty with the rifle as well. Taking the M4 in that round, giving his teammate the AWP, making sure that he sprays down both of those players. Still, though, good damage done here by Mad Lions in this round. Wow.
Oh, where's your helmet, buddy? So satisfying, a little pop like that. 3 rounds in a row from Envy, and now they're just 1 behind Mad Lions, who have 5 AK-47s on deck. Got AWPs and M4s on the floor and CT spawn for Envy, as they will look to run and gun, so to speak. Timeout has come and gone. I think that one was from Envy. And we'll soon be back into things. Round 22. Mihu currently 17 for 13. Leading just by a little bit. Everybody's fragging on the server, apart from KiNK actually, who's a little behind with 7 frags. Everybody else is more or less in the teens. This one's going to be an important round. Someone's going to be broke afterwards. Hughes going straight into the window, it looks like, or denied by Thomas, in fact. KiNK's with an off angle. Refresh not ready for that. This one's collapsing for Mad Lions, and Shush might have to do more than that. Frag onto KiNK. You can see Thomas by the stairs here, thinning the numbers down to 2. He's got help from CT as well. Rings the bell of Roy, leaves him with 12 HP. You've got Nifty holding an off angle, waiting for the reinforcements, or hiding rather. Mad Lions look to fall back.
I'm surprised Nifty was allowed to jump away there. He got mollied out of CT. It looked like Roy was holding that angle, but not landing a shot. It's only a little bit of flame damage to Nifty. This is still a massively important round for Envy, though. Their losing bonus is terrible here. If they lose this round, that could literally cost them this map. So there's a lot of pressure on these players right now, and there is a player pushed in Palace on the Envy side. Roy decided to fake going back to B, but the bomb is staying on the A side of the map. The question is, what does Mihu do from his position in Palace? I assume he'll just stay in there and wait to see if he can maybe come back to the site later on to have a really powerful position, and I doubt that Mad Lions are going to clear Palace out. So as this time ticks away, Mihu realizes it's more and more likely it might be an A-sided play, and Mihu is the man who is in position to potentially deny Mad Lions the bomb plant and maybe even deny them the round outright.
Now, if he just waits for the retake, I think Mad Lions might sense that there's probably a player in Palace. Here's the footsteps now. Does he go to stop it? He'll try and do his best. He'll try to find A-core, but doesn't quite get there in time. That's a decision you have to make. And now they've got post-plant positions, Mad Lions, and Envy have lost their advantage. Roy with an off angle, deletes Legia immediately. No waiting for a late kill to find out where Nifty is. Down to the pistol, and in fact, both these players are low, but A-core's moved so far away. Nifty has no defuse kit. Not sure if there's one on the site itself. Looking for A-core, and he's disappeared. Gone in smoke. Sorry, Roy in mid. A-core's the one on the site. Well, there we go. He's picked up the kit now. Has no idea where A-core could be. Looking around for a quick scope or a no scope. Saw a shadow of him, but not enough of him. And there we go. That's the decision you make if you're in Palace. Do you stop the plant or do you wait for the retake? But if you wait, they probably realize that someone's in Palace. Didn't go their way.
That could cost them the game. Look at that money. It's so bad. If Mihu just gets that kill, he had a favorable fight still. Even though it took him quite a long time to peak that position, he still had a pretty good fight here. He just doesn't land the headshot instantly, and A-core does. And then Legia doesn't realize there's a man in connector. Nifty at the end is in a really uncomfortable position with the AWP. He tried what he could do, but he had no clue where that second player was going to be. And you can see Mihu is aware of how costly that round could be. Cuban's going to have to conjure up some magic here to try and get them back into this game now, because Mad Lions have a 12-10 lead and they have full control of the economy.
Credit to the plant position as well. Had some defense from CT and some defense from the Palace peak as well, which gave him the time to win that duel. That was a very important piece of that puzzle. And you can see the stress on the faces of Envy. The faces on that camp tell me that they need to win this map of Mirage. And it is starting to slip away from them. Thomas with the one rifle. This is a force buy from Envy. A lot of utility. 3 men invested into this A-bomb site. Rotation will be long. But I think Refresh is just trying to invite utility in return from Envy. Try and weaken whatever their force buy looks like by throwing some junk. Look to clear out any impending dangers in the underpass, while Hughes still passive top mid. Now with the bomb and the rest of the team pretty much heading to mid, I wonder what the final intentions are here.
Yeah, you've always got to make sure you know what your end goal is in this sort of round if you're Mad Lions. You can't just be coming up with it sort of on the fly once you get the mid control. You have to have a plan for exactly how you want to end this round. And as it stands, Envy are leaving the B bomb site just as Mad Lions start to posture up towards this side of the map. It was a big risk that Envy have taken here by rotating away from B, and it might be a costly one. Mad Lions are moving into position. Lagi is going to arrive back in time, but he's about to realize they're all over this B site. They're going to swarm him. Roy gets the headshot with the Galil, and that should be the round all but confirmed.
Yeah, there's no reason for Envy to lose anything else at this point. They have no position to really achieve anything, apart from maybe an exit frag and a picked up weapon, if they're lucky. But even then, I wouldn't take too much risk with half the team around a rampant palace, because you're probably going to get traded. So they'll look to try and conserve what they have, Envy. Still a force buy situation for the next round if they can hold on to this stuff. I see KiNK will take a risk, but the rest of them, they'll try and keep 3 players alive at the very least. Mad Lions don't even need to exit the apartments here. They can just save where they are here with Refresh. And they're all good in the hood. No need to go further and risk dropping a rifle late. Taking next to no damage there. Smart, good awareness from Mad Lions.
Yeah, just get out of there. Especially because their money needs to be built up. So I like that they just go ahead and save everything. Just $1,900 there given to each MV player for that round loss. So even after fully saving here, they're going to get, what, a 2.4k loss bonus in the next round? It's going to be enough money to buy, but it's still not going to be ideal for them. And they're going to be 14-10 down before that happens, unless they can do something special in this round. Thomas still has that M4. Nifty's got a smoke, which he's going to plop down. What's he going to do with it? Maybe try and move out into this ledge of mid. Yeah, see if he can use this as a one-way. The mid control looking decent for Envy at the start of this round, and Thomas wants to get aggressive. He wants to actually get the chance to use the rifle this time.
Oh, Hughes's got to be real careful here. Okay, A-Core came in with a cover just in time. I was wondering if the grenade in his hand could have been in trouble. Well, they've dealt with the M4, and they've rotated towards the A-bomb site. Numbers game will be used. And Envy have another decision to make. They're buying in the next round regardless. So I imagine they'll be more invested in this one. KiNK's currently alone on the A-bomb site. He has an incendiary. Now, if he could get that to Tetris, that could be quite useful. Although, even if he did, his teammates don't really have the angles to do anything with the T's force into the open. So they'll essentially run to their doom in round 24, Envy, as they wait for their next full buy. There we go. Now, the worst thing is that Mad Lions have full buys in the hole regardless of what happened, so it's maximum pressure for Envy in round 25.
I do wonder whether KiNK is better off just almost crouching in that corner and not quite baiting his teammates, but at least making Mad Lions push onto the site before taking fights. Because he kind of gave them a 1v1 to begin with there, and it makes it a bit easier for Mad Lions to not have to worry about too many angles as they move into the site. But that is all in the past now. We need to focus on the present, where Envy finally have rifles back in their hands. It's full M4s into this one, and Nifty was thinking about some underpass aggression. He's maybe decided against that. He's just going to stick in towards that spot. A-Core with that AWP currently scoped in towards the apartments. Again, Mad Lions' kill distribution is still incredibly even in this game. Their top fragger has 18 kills, their bottom fragger has 16. That is really impressive that everyone on Mad Lions is basically putting up the exact same amount of kills, and they only need 1 or 2 more rounds like that for them to win this game. They've taken a lot of time off the clock at the start of this round. They haven't really got too aggressive at the start of this one. Both teams just sitting back on their own sides of the map right now.
Creeping through the smoke on ramp, it seems, or threatening to.
Uh-oh.
Can see Hughes and Roy in that position. Well, Nifty will be dealt with. He's seen the bomb towards the B bomb site, but the push is coming in towards A, so which way do Envy go? They still have Thomas on A, the remainder on the B bomb site. 42 seconds left, and it's awkward for both teams at this point. A-Core a little behind his teammates as they make their way up short. Now, Legia's got the high ground on the B bomb site, which seems to be where Mad Lions have headed. However, because he's up top, Mihi will head towards A, and no one's got vision of short through connector. So Legia may have to just wait for the retake. Maybe try to pick one player off, although no sound cues have been given just yet. And he's looking to maybe go even further. Quick jump peek from Refresh.
Uh-oh.
The short plant, there we go. That's exactly what he needed. And 5 seconds on the clock. I don't think they're going to have time to plant it. Oh, no. Schoolboy error. The high ground from Legia paying off for Envy, and they steal a round away from Mad Lions, it looks like.
That was always my question. Where are they going to plant the bomb? Because if they plant it for short, it's always going to be exposed from the apartments. Mad Lions seemed flummoxed once they got onto the B site. They couldn't quite believe that the B site was clear, and they shouldn't have believed it. Legia gets 1 kill, which wins his team the round, and they need a couple more rounds like that over on the MV side. Their money is still on the edge of being broken. There's no room for error on the MV side here on their map pick. They've got to keep on winning rounds like that. They've got to keep on winning the close ones, because Mad Lions are coming right back at them with AKs and an AWP in this next round. And 4 smokes used by Mad Lions towards mid early in this round. They might go for this fast push through connector. They're going to get the early control, and they're going to start to move into the A site.
Indeed they are. Thomas deleted at default. They've cleared Sandwich, but where is KiNK spotted before he can do anything? This one looks painful for Envy. A-Core coming up through connector as well, and it's a 4 versus 2. Roy's been dropped by Mihu, but there's A-Core. Very patient shot from him, leaving Nifty with it all to do. Molotov's flying in his direction, creeping around the smoke, but he's got to try and find something quickly because the multi-frags trades are here if necessary, but they won't be. Shush with the final one of that round. And maybe this is the final round. It's going to look real tough for Envy now.
The money is just consistently an issue for Envy, a thorn in their backside.
Ouch.
I've got to say, Hooksy has definitely exceeded my expectations just as an individual on this team. Because he was a low-fragging IGL on his old team, on his old roster, who were normally just playing in those online EU tournaments, not against top competition. In that round, though, Hooksy was the main man for them, running in, getting 2 entry kills. I love the aggressive play from the IGL. I don't love that spray from Refresh, though. Good fight for Calix to win. That is only Calix's 9th kill of this game. Maybe it could be an important one, though. Hooksy gets traded out at mid, and Envy aren't going to go down without a fight.
Calix trying to take position in CT. Nifty round stairs with just the deagle. Roy will look to see what's going on. There's one more smoke for Mad Lions to try and give themselves space to plant the bomb, but oh god, Mihu's just walked straight to his demise with no one else to play off of his peak. They've got a flank coming in from Legia towards T-spawn. Smoke grenade has been deployed. See what happens with this bomb plant. Not going to be challenged just yet. They're waiting for Legia to come in from the back, but Nifty sprayed through the smoke and A-Core's ready. The spatial awareness misses the flick. Calix might have a chance here, and he has to be successful. No defuse kit. These positions are horrible for him as well. They can play to the beeps now, Mad Lions, and even go for the double peek. More flashes. He fires his gun. They know that he's not defusing the bomb. Looking for these peaks, but look at the angles they're holding, Mad Lions. Roy showing a little something, crouch peek, and that'll be that. 16 rounds for Mad Lions, taking Mirage over Envy.
Just solid work from Mad Lions on that second half, especially controlling the economy, getting the job done, getting the win on Envy's pick. 16-11. It was somewhat close, but Mad Lions run away with it in the end. And you can see that Envy are devastated after that map loss. They're going to have to bounce back, though, James. We're going to have to see them come through for the other maps on this series. And we'll be seeing if they can do just that after the break.
Mad Lions up 1-0 over Envy. Mirage, Envy's pick, not turning out like they expected. And you know, with this veto, they really had to win this one, because I wouldn't want to go to Overpass where the Mad Lions have been extremely dominant down 0-1. 2-0, guys.
Looking like it right now, as you say, this was pretty much almost the must-win map. Like, they're not exactly a monster team on Overpass anyway, and it was going to be played. I think the main problem for me is the two obvious win conditions for this team are, and they're actually tied together, is you're going to win the pistol rounds. We'll get to that in a minute. But more importantly, who's the guy who wins you the pistol rounds? It's Calix. Calix was the worst player in the entire game. This is a guy who was coming into this match as the 8th highest rated player in the entire tournament, way above the level of Envy. So the fact that he didn't turn up at all, and on a fragging map like this, you were basically crippled before the game even got halfway in.
They did manage to keep it competitive all the same, though. You would think with Calix being at the bottom of the leaderboard that this would be really an untenable situation, and they put double-digit rounds in.
You would have thought it would have gotten worse than that. I do have to say that first half, even though it went fairly well for the Envy side, they did win pistol, converted the 2 rounds after that. So even though they got 7 rounds, realistically, they only got 4 rounds after this kind of pistol spree they had early on. I think they looked fairly decent, actually, on T side. They were playing fairly simple, structured rounds. Trades are rolling. Just felt like Mad Lions were a bit of a step above, particularly in the after-plan situations. It felt like Mad Lions were winning almost every single one of those. And then going on to the second half, I think that was all Mad Lions from there on.
Yeah, and let's take a look at those pistols more concretely in terms of stats, because coming in today, it was Envy 61%, as you can see right there, on Pistols 1. So, Thorin, what do you make of these stats?
Well, the key thing as well is that also translated, I asked you to look this up. Basically, there is only one map in this tournament. Remember, Envy's won at least a map in all their series except the first one against Fours. In every map that they won, they won both of the pistols except Dust 2 against Big yesterday. That was the anomaly. So the fact they only won 1 today, they didn't manage to keep that big, it wasn't a streak, but that big correlation going. So you can see for Envy, it is vital to win those pistols. And if your best player on the pistols is Calix, then you need Calix going as well.
Yeah, and it is weird to think like that Envy has such a high rate of winning these pistols and yet has only won the one match. And also, it's just kind of painful, because if they're winning these pistols, you'd think, ooh, just a couple more of those anti-ecos, and that's going to be a map win.
Kind of feels like they've got all the advantages, doesn't it? If you're going to win in so many pistol rounds. I mean, the concern would be maybe you're winning the pistols, but you're losing the second rounds, which you just saw on that graphic. They're actually winning a pretty good percentage, and especially these days with T's planting and Force buying second, those are really actually 50-50s. So I don't really know how it's going wrong from there on. It must just be the gun rounds just aren't as strong as maybe we might have expected.
Well, let's take a look at a particular round that you had, Alan, which is going to be round 14 from this last match. Why did you pick this one?
So I chose this round because it's just a really great display of fundamentals from Mad Lions. And what we're going to see here is they're going to go man down early. Shush here has already died. And what's happening is Roy, if you look at the minimap, player number 4, he's pushing A-Ram. He's getting all this information, allowing them to free stack B pretty safely. They had Hooksy boosted on the site and the 2 players around bench. Great kill from Refresh, and then Hooksy from in the site. They had no idea he was there. Really clean play from Mad Lions, and just a really small decision that makes a massive difference. And that's kind of what we're seeing from this lineup, is these fundamentals are much stronger than we might have expected. Personally, I think Peacemaker's probably the person to credit with that sort of thing. I can't really see how Hooksy came in so early, could have such a kind of tight play, but in these sort of areas, they've looked really impressive so far.
Yeah, no, Thorin touched on that, Peacemaker's contributions before we started this game today, and how that is kind of the continuing factor throughout all these IGL changes, going from Hunden to Asilian and now to Hooksy earlier this year.
There's also, obviously, like, you give some credit to those IGLs. Like, they've helped their players get to a certain point. They've bedded them in with a certain level of understanding of the game. So those are still dormant elements that Peacemaker can potentially hook Hooksy into and get them going inside of the squads. Because the thing about the Mad Lions players is they clearly take direction very well. The area where we can criticize them is sometimes they look like initiative is maybe what they don't do, which is what I've been critical of A-Call with. But this game, it was totally fine. They basically just did what they needed to, and they got over the finish line.
Well, before we finish up our analysis on Mirage, we are going to take another look at one round here with Yumi over on the Telestrator. Break it down for us.
I'm actually previewing the second map a little bit here for Envy, and I'm just interested to see how things go on their overpass, because if you put enough pressure on Calix, we talk about him in that first map not being as much of an impact, look how much space he's going to try and create over on this A side. There's a lot of emphasis on him. We're looking at him as one of the star players, and it's all just going to be about the timings here for Calix and whether he actually gets the information. The round's gone down. The clock eventually gets to about the minute mark, and KiNK looks for information, finds a pick, spots the bomb, and does get traded. Nifty can then use that information, try and play around that as best they can. But because he'd done so much damage to Leo Dark in particular, or Leo DRK as we were correctly pointed out, there is, of course, a bit uncertainty here for Envy. And so they have to rotate in Thomas. Eventually, it's actually the late round call that costs Envy this round, because you can see they've taken short water control, they've gotten this space towards A, they understand that that's a possibility for the MIBR side, but the setup is good. And so if you want to see Envy succeed in the second map, all emphasis comes on KiNK, and whether he can find those timings, can potentially just shut out the round from there. Back over to the desk.
Thanks, Yumi. And another point that people have made is that Nifty has been playing a little bit more aggressively with the op on overpass, which has been one of the positives for Envy, but it's going to be really hard. Mad Lions, over the past few weeks, across all their tournaments, I believe are 4-1 right now on overpass, and it's looked like really a comfort pick for them.
Yeah, and seeing that round play out from Yumi, they just showed on the Tejada, that's actually a really good example of Envy making a big mistake, because what you saw there is that KiNK was solo aggressive, pushed forward, he just got traded out in that situation. And when you have playing on A site overpass, you need your two players to be playing together, to be like bouncing off each other really well. So there you might wanted, Nifty playing around, I call it the flowers area, that kind of bit you boost up on long. So he can take first contact, then KiNK can clean up. And I've seen this multiple times from them on the A site of overpass, is that they don't really work together very well. If I had to suspect a reason for that, I don't think Nifty's that confident in calling the site. I don't think he's really shown himself to be a great leadership figure, and he needs to be kind of communicating well with KiNK. I'm going to play here, you play here, this spot complements each other well. So hopefully, in this game, we can see that a little bit cleaned up.
On the Mad Lions side, Thorn, is there anything that's impressed you about their overpass play so far?
I would just say, the T side was way better than you would expect it to be. I mean, they showed it against Team Liquid once they got in the game. Team Liquid was doing fine initially. But the way they attacked Virtus Pro yesterday, I thought was fantastic. So I think this is a team where if you put them, on that B site, they basically force you to come up with an answer. And if you don't have one, the entire map's theirs.
Yeah, let's take a look more in-depth, Alan, because you do have a Mad Lions overpass clip to walk us through. So what have they been doing that you've been particularly excited about?
So this clip's going to be on the CT side of overpass. It's more about Mad Lions getting more proactive, more aggressive, which potentially was a criticism we had earlier on with this lineup. So here, it's just going to be some B short water aggression there. We're double nading the pipe there because that's just the timing of the T player coming through. And now you're going to see them getting aggressive, pushing in here for some map control. They molly out that kind of cubby down there, force the players out, get some really nice frags, and loads of information. That's the key point here. Not really the frags, the information, because from here, they know it's going to be A, they can stack up the site. And it's just really great seeing Mad Lions having more dimensions to their game, when potentially at the start of the tournament, maybe they didn't have this so much, but every single series are looking better and better in this respect.
And you also have a clip from Envy.
We do.
In their map of overpass against MIBR. What are you going to guide us through here?
So with Envy, we actually saw it a bit on Mirage T side. It feels like they're really cleaning up their play, where they're just playing simple CS and they're just calling it well. And maybe when we first saw this lineup playing, particularly in that Forza game, maybe the fundamentals weren't there. Maybe the players were kind of not bouncing off each other well. Maybe the trading was really bad. So hopefully this clip will come up and we can see them playing some super simple and clean CS. And hopefully we'll get that in a few moments. Hopefully.
Yeah, it is going to be coming up in just a second here, guys.
There we go. So on this round, what we have here, MIBR are just going to push into this short water area, and they're just going to catch the push. But from here, the really great part is the fast mid-round call. They know players are dead on B, and all they're going to do is do a really simple, clean execute onto the B bomb site. Really decisive mid-round calling from Blake here, which is definitely an area that's gone much better throughout the tournament. Come onto this B site, mollies are down, they're going to clean it out super nice. And I just thought this was a really great example of how just playing simple CS really well can work, and people don't really respect that enough. They think that you've got to be super tactical, you've got to have all the nades, all the team play, but if you just run simple CS where you play together, you get the trades and you make the fast mid-round calls, hesitation is actually the biggest killer on T-side more than anything. Just having fast calls, grouping and going in can work out really well, and this round here was just a really great example of that from Envy.
This is actually one of the reasons why I think that I suspect they know that this is like a last chance saloon type scenario for this lineup, because Legia himself does preach the idea from his big days that if you know you have a lineup for a long time, you go for excellence. You try and put a whole system in place with a lot of complicated elements that once you execute it will elevate your team to a much higher level, like the old big lineups used to be performing way above what they should have been able to do. So the fact that he's being very pragmatic with his calling suggests to me he knows this is maybe a one and done. So just do your best at this tournament today and do the opposite to maybe what Dig is doing in the other match.
Yeah, it is going to be rough too, because Envy basically it's all led up to this for them. They've been boot camping for months right now, trying to get the cohesion on this roster. They moved Nifty to London for the last 6 weeks to try and prepare for this event, and now they're one map away from eliminations.